Britain Oils and Fragrances. Right, this your brother Ashton Fall. Come get with my brother Britain. We got the Fire Oils and Fragrances. He's a good brother. You know, we're at Fire God. We support black and brown businesses. We got to build ourselves up. Farm Yasharala, right? Where can they find you at, Britt?
Hey, come down here to Deep Ellum. We here on Saturdays from 12 to 6 every Saturday. We got the body oils, the black soaps, the shea butters, the burning oils. Don't forget, we don't step on it. We stand on it. Big shout out to everybody that's supporting us on Facebook, Instagram, any type of social media. Big shout out to Fire God. Love you guys.
Hey, and my favorite is the frankincense and myrrh, right? Best one I've smelled so far out of any company I've shopped with. It don't matter if it's on Amazon. Look, he got it. And the prices is on point too.
On this earth once, and we was all about the mirth once. Idol worship, murder like the first of the month. Hit a nigga with the bit like he need a light. That's what you do when you on fourth, or else you got a punt. But we ain't needed when we cry for Egypt flesh, nah. So it's Egypt that we got, and we hella mad. These crackers soaring off our shoulders like some helipads. They see our sweat, but they don't feel us like we holograms. I'll be damned, another black man shot again. They deflect and tell us we are on.
Shalom, 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 family. Shalom. We're going to be getting started real soon. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you're coming in, hit the thumbs up. We need you to hit that like button. Get this propagated. Make sure you share this link. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Very important topic for the black and brown community. We're going to be addressing our identity issues as a nation, right? Of course, you know, we think we all these colloquial terms. We think we black men. We think we Mexicans. We think we're Indians. We think we're whatever the white man tells us we are. And in these last days, that mental wound has festered. And so now, you know, we blend into these other groups of things that we think that we are. Everything but the children of God. So again, like, share, subscribe, get this out, because our nation needs to hear this message. How y'all doing today, family? Thought I'd try something new, come through on a Friday. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Zephaniah Yasharala Shalom Malak Bashem Mashiach Yahawashai Barakatah. Salute. Thank you for joining us. Make sure y'all like, make sure y'all share, make sure y'all subscribe. This lesson is going to be hefty, but at the same time, I tried to make it to where it's not too dense as far as time. You know, it's a lot to digest in a short time, so I'm gonna try to package it very well for y'all so you can digest it. It is something that's meant to weigh heavily on the spirit, but also encourage you if you are walking in that right way, if you are following after Mashiach Yahushua. You know, so bear with me. We're gonna let a few more people come in. Make sure y'all like, make sure y'all share, make sure y'all subscribe. Where y'all at? Where y'all watching from? You know, your brother Ash is out here in Dallas, Texas. It's hotter than fresh grits out here. And your brother Melton, where y'all viewing from? I seen the other day we got viewers from Barbados, we got viewers from Jamaica, we got viewers from the UK. So all praises to the Most High for that. This truth is going out. You know, we got a little body over here at Fire of God, so to know we able to make that little bit of that much impact across the world is very reassuring, because we want to bring in as much as we can in these last days. We want to be profitable. You know? Brother Zephaniah watching from Detroit. All praises to the Most High. Who you doing? Who you doing the work with? How long you been in the truth? I love to hear stories like that. How'd you find out that you was an Israelite? I might have to do a live one day where we just get brothers to come on live and we all chop it up about how we came into this knowledge, build a broader community, so to speak. If y'all coming in, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. This needs to get out, to as many people as we can reach on today. HOI, 3 years, all praises to the Most High. Powerful group of brothers. All praises to the Most High. Mm-hmm. So I know you seen the thumbnail, brother. I know you've seen the title. What does Crip Mac have in common with the Hebrew Israelites? What you know about the brother Crip Mac? Well, not the brother. I found out he's actually a Japhite. What you know about Crip Mac? What you done heard about the man? For those of you that's coming in, please make sure that you like, share, subscribe. We're trying to get the viewership up so that the shares could go up, so that the likes could go up, so that by the time we start to bring in the message, the algorithm that picked it up already, it is imperative that we propagate this information to the best of our ability. This will be a powerful lesson, short but sweet through the spirit and power, y'all, but shine. But it takes you. We need your participation at FOG. I need your participation. I'm but one brother over here in Dallas, and I need that assist from y'all. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe, so when this fire comes out, your brothers and your sisters catch wind of it. We want to catch the whole nation on fire through the spirit of the Most High. We want to provoke brothers that's been lax into action. We want to remind brothers and sisters that have been doing what they're supposed to do. We want to remind them that they're on the right track. We want to remind them what they escaped from when they decided that they was no longer going to endeavor to be a Babylonian at heart. Shalom, shalom, Booyaksha. How you doing? How you living? Barakatah. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. I see we got 7 people in here. I'm not too sure how that's really working as far as the algorithm goes. But nonetheless, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're about to go up in a few minutes here. We just want to make sure that when the lesson starts to come out, everybody gets to see it. We don't want to keep this information to ourselves. It ain't no deep knowledge. But I'm going to try to take the route of proving how a lot of these curses are, how they play out, and using science to do so. The Most High predestined all this. If he predestined all of it and he made the world according to wisdom, that means that he set things up in a physical way. This ain't spooky. You know, a lot of people think this Bible is spooky, so this lesson is packaged the way that it's packaged so that when our brothers and sisters hear it, they can identify with it in a way where it's a little bit more tangible. You know, we talk about curses and then we talk about generational curses. And for some reason, there's like a gap in between. And we need to show and prove how they're one and the same. Brother Booyak, you said you had a question. What's your question, brother man? What is your query? Please shoot the question. What's the longest stretch Israel kept the law? I'm not gonna cap, brother. I don't know. You know, I do not know because we some bad kids, man. We be real on and off with it. We be real on and off with it. It seems like from king to king, you know, we'll have a king. That king will rule righteously, and the Israelites will live righteously underneath him. Then they'll die. If another king comes up that ain't so righteous, then we go, you know, we go all the way left with it. You know, as the scriptures say, as the head is, the people will be. I'm paraphrasing that heavily, but I do not know the definitive answer to that question, brother. But that is a good question, though. And when they kept the law, when they kept it, were they a light to the other nations? What does it mean to be a light to the nations? What does it mean to be a light to the nations? Being a light to the nations is actually prophecy. So, you know, in a small sense, I would say, yeah. For example, you have Esther, the 8th chapter, which kind of collides with the thought process behind what it is for nations to come to our light when it comes to, you know, them trying to adhere to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, right? But that was a very small microcosm. Then you have during the you have during the time of the Maccabees, where a lot of Edomites started to convert to what's known today as Judaism, right? That's a microcosm, and it's incomplete because, well, it's not like we was doing it all the way to the fullest. You know, we started to make doctrines of men. So to sum it up, let me pull out a scripture for you. What it's going to look like when we are a light to the nations. Isaiah 60. I can share my screen with you. Let me share my screen. So it says, arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to the brightness of thy rising. So this is something that has to happen in the future. But the other nations are going to see how we're flourishing. They're going to see how we're following in the light of the Lord. I shouldn't turn the screen off. Let me actually get Zechariah, the 8th chapter, to elaborate on it when it comes to this chain of events. So when they see us flourishing and walking in the light of the Lord, this is what's going to happen. They're going to see our salvation. And then after that, according to Zechariah chapter 8, and we're going to start at verse 20. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, it shall yet come to pass that there shall come people and the inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, let us go up speedily to pray before the Lord and to seek the Lord of hosts. I will go also. Yeah, many people and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem. So people are going to come to Jerusalem and to pray before the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all the languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you, but we have heard that God is with you. Does that make sense, family? You get what I'm saying? Booyakasha. You get the breakdown. What are the other nations supposed to do with the light they receive from Israel? They're going to do the same thing that we do with the light of America, except they're going to be happy. Let me see. The Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So, on one hand, people flock to America in hopes that they're going to be able to flourish, that they're going to be able to achieve the American dream. The American dream is based on BS, though. It's built on lies, murder, rape, robbery, right? So just like Yahushua said, if your light is evil, then, what's that going to do to your body? And again, I'm paraphrasing. In our situation, our light's going to be all righteous. So what they're going to reap is they're going to learn the law, statutes, and commandments after they serve some bondage, because they're going to have to get a recompense for what they've done to us collectively. But after that, they're going to be able to, live happily, because the righteous are going to bear rule. Hey, for sure, family, of course. Any other questions before we get started? That's what it's all about. It ain't just me hearing my own voice. Shalom, Brother Derek Free. Shalom. Salute to everybody in here. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already, it is important that you share this video more than any contribution you can make. Sharing this and getting the content out there is going to be the most valuable thing that you can do for us. We appreciate that greatly. Any other questions before we get started? Because I don't want to bore y'all to death. Shalom, shalom. We out here. We out here. And then you see the email in the bottom left-hand side. If you're a brother watching, if you're a sister watching and you want edification, if you want to tap in with us, feel free to hit the email up. If you want to get out there and do the work with a body and you ain't found one yet, we definitely can assist in that. We need the men on the line. We're a small camp right now. Right now we in Jacksonville, we in Baltimore, we in St. Louis, we in Dallas. You see? So we definitely need brothers across Babylon. We need warriors. Today's topic is, what do Cripmac have in common with the Hebrew Israelites? And not a lot when you think about it on a superficial level. It's one commonality, it's the gangbanging. But you're going to see, the way that this is put together, that there are some aspects of the man's life, at least from what we can extrapolate from the internet about the man, that there are some things that man struggles with, that we as a collective, that we struggle with. We struggle with identity issues. We're in an identity crisis. Make sure y'all check that video out if you haven't already. We're in a state of emergency when it comes to identity. Think about it. We're in Babylon the Great, where you can be whatever you want to be, even if it's Peter motherfucking Pan. And at this point, the culture is, if a man's standing on a roof saying he can fly, then you're toxic for telling him take a step away from the ledge. These people, they just want to push you off the ledge and watch you crash and burn, and that's not of the Most High. So, we as a nation, we need correction, but we have these mental illnesses that really put a wall up between us and wisdom. We wonder why we're weak when compared to other nations, but we can't comprehend that it's because, well, we hate each other more than other nations hate each other. You know, the infighting is ridiculous. It's like these white folks, you know, when it's, say, for example, Democrat versus Republican, you know, behind the scenes, they'll eat at the same dinner table because it's two sides of the same coin, and they realize that. They realize it, and there's a method to their madness. It's called the delusion of inclusion. Us, on the other hand, you know, if you wearing that, or if you from that street, if you from down that way versus that way, then I'm on you. And it's destructive. It's destructive. We have a cancer, and it's the ideologies that we have, you know, put on a pedestal here in good old America. Xavier McLeod, shalom, shalom. Please make sure y'all like this. Make sure y'all share this. We are about to get started. I'm about to drop the intro one more time. And we're going to get right the hell to it.
We was powers on this earth once, and we was all about the mirth once. Idol worship, murder, like the first of the month. Hit a nigga with the bick like he need a light. That's what you do when you on fourth, or else you got a punt. But we ain't needed when we cry for Egypt flesh, nah. So it's Egypt that we got, and we hella mad. These crackers soaring off our shoulders like some helipads. They see our sweat, but they don't feel us like we holograms. I'll be damned, another black man shot again. They deflect and tell us we are on.
So with that, you know, first and foremost, all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, who the world calls Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai. I am your brother Ashra Carr of Fire of God out here in Dallas. You know, we're going to go right into the topic at this point. I did drum up a visual aid to kind of assist us on this journey that we about to take. So let me cue that up. But first and foremost, how y'all doing in the chat? How's brothers doing? Appreciate y'all for tuning in, and any sisters that's in the chat as well. How is your afternoon going? I pray y'all blessed. Where y'all watching from? I know we got a brother from Detroit in the building. So, you know, we actually gonna start with this slideshow. Bear with me, family. I promise I'm not wasting your time. So first thing, we need to talk about how mental illness is a curse promised from the Most High. How many of y'all already know that? That mental illness is one of the curses of Deuteronomy, but it's one of the ones that we speak on the least, in my opinion. I don't see it harped on that much. Not to say that brothers don't know it, but we put a lot of emphasis on certain things, and I think it's important that we realize that, you know, the same way we say everybody want to be an Israelite, but they don't want to go to the curses. Well, why don't they want to go through the curses? It's because it's some terrible shit, right? So a part of us repenting is realizing that we have to deal with a lot of this terrible shit because we were wicked, right? It's essential to our salvation, is remembering where we fell off when all these curses have come upon us, the blessing and the curse, and calling them to mind among all nations where we at. So it's like we should embrace it to the point where we're able to own it. You know, this is something that's going on in our communities, and we shouldn't go for the glory. The scripture says that if you exalt yourself, the Most High is going to abase you, but he that, you know, humbles himself is going to be exalted. And it's a stance of humility to say, you know, I come from a people that suffer from mental illness in real heavy way. Of course, the white man outnumbers us here in America. So the population of white people that deal with mental illness is going to be larger, but in proportion, we're dealing with it worse. So we're going to go into it. The curse of mental illness. If y'all ready, then say that. Okay. So what is mental illness? It's listed as mental illnesses are health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior, or a combination of these. Mental illness can be associated with distress and or problems functioning in social, work, or family activities. So we talk about unity. We talk about how come we can't be a nation of strong people? How come we ain't got no real leadership? How come we don't have any real representation? Well, when it comes to clicking up, mental illness can be associated with distress and problems functioning in social, work, or family activities. We have a problem with socializing with each other. We have a problem working with each other. We got mistrust. And we have problems with emotional dysregulation. And this is going to be a key part of what we talk about today. I would venture to say that, when you deal with a mental health issue, most of the time it's going to intertwine changes in emotion, and that have an effect on thinking and behavior. So more common than not, it's going to be all cohesive. More often than not, it's going to be cohesive. Why? Because when you deal with the trauma that's been passed down to us, you got to deal with a concept of epigenetics. Epigenetics is when your environment can shape the way that your DNA is going to express itself. Your parents' activities, what they eat, what they watch on TV, the things that they see around them every day, gunshots down the alleyway, rape, robbery, murder, right? Shit that the Israelites been through. When you see the curses, the trauma is going to be passed down. And what happens is it's compounded within that next generation. And if you don't learn as the parent the tools to begin to rectify the wrongs that have been done, reconcile how I'm supposed to exist in this wicked world, do I go along to get along? Do I keep my head down and pretend like it ain't happening? It's either going to be a benefit or a detriment to how that child is now molded, right? So, this also speaks to how important it is that we don't just ingest the law, statutes, and commandments, but we live them out. We meditate on them, because that is something that is going to be stored up in the memory banks of our DNA. And then when we are actually applying these things, when we're meditating on the law day and night, becoming like a tree planted by the rivers of water, according to Psalm, the first chapter, what's going to happen is we're able to guide our children and next generation to where they're able to now regulate their emotions. And in regulating their emotions, they're going to be able to think about things and process more thoroughly. They're not going to deal with so much what's called cognitive distortions. It's also called delusion, but cognitive distortion is the more proper term for it. We might go into that a little differently. But a way that a cognitive distortion might present itself is you looking at your brother and you're assuming that he's looking at you because he want to kill you. That's trauma, and trauma produces these cognitive distortions. So you see how it all is, hand in hand. So where do we see the curse of mental illness in the Bible? We're just going to dive into it. Deuteronomy 28 and 19 through 20. And of course, we're going to start off in the King James Version. We're going to take a look at another translation as well. It says, "Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me." And then we're told in verse 45 that this is going to be a sign and a wonder on all nations. Well, we're going to pass these things down in our genetic markers, signs, right? I'm not going to go off too deep into that. But what we want to focus on is how we're just going to keep going into the slides. So let's look at it in another translation. It's basically saying wherever you go and whatever you do, you'll be cursed. The Lord himself will send on you curses, confusion, and frustration in everything you do, and until at last you are completely destroyed for doing evil and abandoning me. So to be cursed, right, and to deal with confusion and frustration in everything that you do, that's the breeding ground for mental illness, because you're never being given an opportunity to settle down and process. They tell you that in order to live a life that's healthy for your mental, you should be able to sit back, you should be able to decompress, and you should address the failures of your life. You should be able to address the losses just as well as the successes. But what we've been taught is the hustle culture, which is toxic. Work, work, work. Keep your head on your feet. Walk forward. Don't look up. Don't provoke nobody. Just keep doing your thing. Mind your own business. And then what you do is you work in order to keep your mind busy, or at least until you could get to a bottle or a blunt. Right? Am I right or am I wrong, chat? Am I right or am I wrong? So if this is the culture, then when we deal with vexation, we internalize it. It becomes a part of us. When we feel that rebuke, we internalize it. It's all about me, as opposed to, what the Most High is trying to show us. And all that thou set thine hand unto to do until you be destroyed and until you perish. Now, this word perish here in the Hebrew, this is what I want to look at, right? Because what this is talking about is us becoming depressed and becoming lost, because we're being beat from so many different directions. So let me know when you see this word perish. And we're going to look at the Jacenius Hebrew Chaldean lexicon. All right. It says to be lost or to lose oneself, to wander, of a lost and wandering sheep, to flee away in the desert as a wild beast. So if you're wandering away in the desert, you're going from being a sheep who's dwelling in pastures, you're lost, and you're not surrounded by that which is beneficial anymore, right? If you lose yourself, what does that mean? You lose sight of who you are. So let's just backpedal a little bit. It says that you're going to basically see these curses, cursed in the city, cursed in the field, in whatever you do, until you lose yourself. And that's what happened to us. We became so beat down that now we've lost sight of ourselves. We will conform to whatever image that we have to in order to survive, right? Even if that survival is bottom of the barrel, no pot to piss in, we just want a little bit of alleviation from our struggles. So, we go on to lose yourself is to lose sight of who you are, what makes you happy, and what fulfills you. But the question is, why is this important? Because Deuteronomy 28:64 says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto another. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So I'm going to go back to this. Why is it important? All these things that I've taken note of, us being beaten to the point where we lose sight of who we are, is because culture is a major line of defense against emotional dysregulation. Whereas if you have a healthy culture, it helps you regulate your emotions. Why? Because your culture dictates how you socialize. For example, gang culture come with all type of crazy politics depending on where you're repping at, or who you repping with, or where you from, blah, blah, blah. All right? And it looks like it's pretty straightforward to those that's on the outside looking in, but then when you get close, it's complicated, right or wrong. And what you call this is toxic culture, because at the end of the day, you know, you got people who supposedly stand for the same things as killing each other. You're socializing. There's a culture there, but it's not a healthy culture. So it's about what that culture breeds among you, right? So we have that in place of what we were given by the Most High. We were told that that culture was going to be wisdom in the sight of the nations, that they was going to look at us and say, what nation got God so close to him? But if we are being beaten until where we lose sight of who we are, what we love, what makes us happy, what's supposed to fulfill us, we lose sight of the culture that God gave us specifically, and we start to worship other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. That means what? That means that we've been given another culture. Fast forward to today, we're in Babylon. It's called confusion. Why? Because of all of the different cultures. Just like the old Babylon. Are y'all with me or are y'all with me? Let me know. Let me know. Like Babylon of old, all those nations got together and the Most High did what? He separated that. Why? Because that shit was toxic. That ideology, that ideology, that ideology. And you're supposed to just embrace it all. Well, if one culture is supposed to be what you use in order to regulate your emotions, imagine trying to embrace all of these ideologies where now your moral compass is being divided. You got the straight line, but then it goes like this. You got the straight line, but then it splinters off like this, but then it branches off like that. And so you're divided, trying to go all these different directions. That's why the Most High says don't go to the right hand or the left. And I know it seems like I'm rambling, but I'm building on this because, you know, if I go into the medical journals, it's going to be a very lengthy read. So I want to keep it very conversational with you, right? So I'm going to give you an example. Our law, statutes, and commandments tell us things like thou shalt not steal. That's a part of our culture, right? If you look at psychology, they'll tell you that it's not necessarily about the culture you participate in so much as how deeply you are into that culture or how deeply that culture is ingrained in you, right? Which is why it's important. Now, we don't just go into the Bible a little bit and go back into the world and be lukewarm. We're supposed to pick a side and stand firmly in that side, right? The Most High is going to spew us out because we're not going to be fully standing on what it is that He gave us cultural wise. Same way, you're not going to be a good fashion American if you got one foot into this Hebrew Israelite thing, all right? It's going to contradict it. At one point, you're going to have to confront what Yahweh Shai said, which is that what? You can't serve what, family? You can't serve two masters. You can't serve two masters. So what has to happen in order for you to not be divided down the middle, because here's where it gets complex. We'll go back to the toxic culture, gang culture. Gang culture, it's a good thing if a nigga asks you where you from, that you stand on where you from. And, you know, you either let them know where you from, you might throw it up a little bit, you might escalate it. Street culture is all over the fucking place, right? It used to be certain rules, now there ain't no more. It's up for grabs, right? It's up in the air for everything. But if a nigga look at you the wrong way and you with the wrong people and they see you let somebody look at you in a certain way, if you don't act in a toxic way, you're not accepted. So what does that do to you emotionally? You get an emotional divide, especially if you're empathetic. Let's say you don't want to hit somebody for looking at you funny. You're going to feel bad about it if you do. Think about what happened with Will Smith. I don't know if a lot of y'all peeped it, but he felt pressure, like he had to prove himself as a man. He didn't want to go up there and hit Chris Rock. You could just tell. I've seen plenty of niggas get smacked on and socked on. And Will Smith did not want to go up there and do that, which is why when he walked off, he felt awkward. But he's got his toes in a toxic culture. And he feels like in order to be accepted, in order to prove I'm a man, I'm going to have to do something to appeal to this toxic culture. But what happened was he violated another part of himself that told him that's not what he should have done. You see what I'm saying? And this is where the mental illness sets in. It's strenuous on the mind to now have to process. Do I do the right thing or do I do the wrong thing? You see how simple that is? So, us being put in these curses where we're put on slave ships, we're beaten, we got to serve other gods, we got to serve the white man in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and want of all things. What does it do to you when you now have to question your morality? Am I going to maintain my integrity, or am I going to bend because other things that are happening around me that appeal to my emotions, like what's happening to my children? What's happening to my wife? What happens to them if I get killed for disobeying master? Do you see how strenuous that is on the mind? Because now you have to deal with the repercussions where you violated what you know to be wrong according to your culture. This is why you can't be dealing with two different ones. You got to pick a side and stand, right? The same way that street nigga feel like he has to not let a nigga violate is the same way that a man that's in the Torah feel like he can't violate what's going on in that Torah. The question is, which culture is healthier, right? And so I'm narrowing all these things down. I'm narrowing all these things down for a reason. So, I apologize if any of this is escaping or if I'm going over it too quickly. Brother Xavier said, I was literally talking to myself about this aspect of who we are today. All praises to the Most High. That's in the spirit. And it's like, we really got to have that talk every day. Every time I go to camp, I post up and I don't jump right into the lesson. I just look at us and all fuckery and I just absorb it. I got to soak it in. I got to soak it in because, I try to stay away from it as much as possible because it hurts to see our people like the way that we are, you know what I'm saying? But it's like we got to be able to take it into account, for our own good. For our own good. So now, jumping back into it, we worship in these other gods, wood and stone, and those gods are telling us to do things that contradict the Most High. When the Most High set up law, statutes, and commandments based on the knowledge that he used to build us. So the law, statutes, and commandments we were given are good for our biology. They're good for our psyche. They're good for synergy, good for building a nation. But the laws of these other gods, they inflict doubt on the mind. They cause you to have low self-esteem because it's built on vanity. And so, when we are torn between coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments, and we have to abandon this idea of self-centeredness that we're given from the American standpoint. It's the part where we have to adapt to this new ideology is difficult for that reason. So here's the other aspect of the curse of mental health. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. If you are in a world where the Most High told you that this is wicked, this is wicked, this is wicked, but you've absorbed so much of another culture that you can't tell because of how it triggers your emotions, and you feel like it's right because of how it makes you feel, it means you've been too engulfed in this other culture. Especially when you see that these things trigger certain emotions in you, and it would be healthy for you to get away from it. But like when on paper, it tells you that you'd have to get away from it in order to be healthy, but you still argue within yourself that you got to remain attached to it, like getting away from the streets, right? You don't want to be involved in the gang culture no more because I don't want to kill another black man based on how he looked. I don't want to be plotting on another black man based on how he looked. I don't want to be pimping my sisters no more. It's wrong, but your emotions tell you that, oh, but the streets is going to think this. That's when you fucked up. That's confronting that mental illness, right? That's mental illness right there at a very base level, because you're seeing that is wrong, which indicates now you have the ability to see, but you're going towards that direction that's telling you, but if I just close my eyes the way that it feels, That's where I need to be at, because you're accustomed to this. Watch this. The blindness and astonishment of heart, and thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, which means what? You're moving based on how you feel, family. Are you fucking with me? Are y'all with me, or are y'all with me? We're moving based off of how we feel. And this is where things get tricky. If we're dealing with emotional dysregulation, which is I don't have the ability to control my emotions, I don't have the ability to maintain myself on an emotional level. Like, say, for example, I got to go to work. My boss tell me something I don't want to hear. And I just, I snap like a child. That's emotional dysregulation. Or if I'm crying one minute, I'm laughing the next, and I'm crying another minute, and I'm laughing, and then I'm smiling and giggling, and then I'm fighting. Like, all that is this emotional dysregulation and different levels of mental illness. Um, there will be different ways that emotional dysregulation will express itself. But that's what happens when you delve into a culture and it moves you around based off of how you feel, as opposed to what you can see, using science, for example, because our commandments are based on science. It's the Most High science. And what happens if we keep them, we start to be able to see the things that the Most High put into place. We start to see what the program really is. If we can see the world for what it really is. That's why we gain understanding. That's why his commandments are the beginning of wisdom. But it says, thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. How are you supposed to prosper if you just moving based off of how you feel? This ain't Star Wars where you use the Force and you're supposed to just feel the Force and just know where you're going and what you're doing. That's dumb. When you walk in the spirit, you're observing and you're discerning between what's right and wrong. What's right with the Most High? I want to please the Most High. That's worldly. I ain't fucking with that, because that's against the Most High. Clear as day. The ability to discern is walking in the spirit, not walking around based off the flesh. What you feel all the damn time. That instability. It is what has led us to this point, and it's what's going to keep us in this point. It says, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. It's like, it's easy to oppress a man who's moving on how he feels, because he can't even think past his emotions. He can't make the hard decisions because he's a kid on the inside. Michael Clark Duncan, rest in peace, on the outside, but a child on the inside. And we have a lot of that going on in our communities. So we got to ask ourselves, are we going to start moving based off of what we see? And what we see is the program that we've been participating in has not been working. The street culture, the thought culture, the pimp culture, all the cultures, right? I was on Clubhouse a long time ago, and a brother said, what do you think is wrong with black people? I said, well, a lack of culture. He got mad. He said, when I hear people say stuff like that, I feel like they got other motives, because, we got plenty of culture. And I'm like, nigga, you thinking of flavor. We got this and that, but it's always very half-assed. Like, you see a brother Pan-African, he got a beaded necklace on. No knocking brothers who wear stuff like that, but the majority of the brothers who's doing that only know about the beads. Is that really culture, or is it just cultural appropriation? Because cultural appropriation happens if you don't really have a respect on what it is that you're dabbling in. So, bear with me. That's what we have, is that we have such a lack of culture that we'll grab on anything that looks like it might be good for us. And then we won't grab it all the way, because we just want to keep it moving, and we just want to deal with shit that feels good. So that's why we deal with so many different cultures at a superficial level. You got the women who's selling crystals, and you got brothers talking about kundalinis and shit. It's real half-assed. When you deal with the kundalini and the chakras and stuff, if you was all the way into that culture, you would realize that that's like a chart for a kindergarten version of those teachings. Those things don't really exist. They're a concept for you to understand what's really going on later when you go up the levels. So when I said we got a lack of culture, I mean, like, we're not really rooted in nothing. And we're not. And there's not anybody who could prove any different. except for sin, which is very general, which is very much based off of all of the nations and all of the ideologies that are present in our current surroundings. You know? So that's how I'm prefacing this. I'm going to be right back. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to drop another intro. Please like, share, and subscribe if y'all rocking with me. Let me get fire in the chat if y'all rocking with me. If I've been doing good so far, make sure y'all share this information. I'm going to be right back. I promise you that, Lord willing. Yeah, I'm going to be right back. And I'm back. And I'm back. Where y'all watching from, family? I see we got some new people in the chat. Shalom, Hebrew, Shalom. By Shalom, Yahweh Shai. Am I your enemy because I tell you the truth? And what a profound question. Because you'll see that ignorance truly is bliss. We love to pretend like we know it all, but the minute that we begin to challenge certain ideologies, brothers just fall apart. And why? Because it's a security blanket. Brothers just want to hold on to something, right? Again, we just moving through the world based on how we feel. Once you feel like you got a hold of something that's sturdy, it might be elephant's ass. So it ain't necessarily a sturdy place for you to build upon because it could get up and move. Unless you open your eyes, you ain't gonna see what you really leaning on. You feel me? Unless you open your eyes, you're not really gonna see what it is that you're leaning on. But we don't want to open our eyes. We wanna stay blind because, again, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. And you really learn what that means when you come in the truth and start trying to talk to people that you used to be able to connect with on some level. Now we're gonna move on to the next portion of this. So I want y'all to bear with me just 1 second. Find this video.
What type of impact?
So we're gonna make a little example of what happens when we just get a little bit of soundness of mind. Let me know if y'all are able to hear this good. Let me get a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear it, 2 in the chat if you can't.
What type of impact would you say serving in the Vietnam War had on your development as a Black man?
Well, was y'all able to hear that? 1 in the chat if you could hear it, 2 in the chat if you could not. Now we about to start going in. We was just prefacing it earlier. All praises to the Most High. It's too loud, or is loud enough? Shout out to baby in the chat, my wife in the chat. All praises to the Most High. Loud enough. All right, so we about to proceed then. And I will pause this here and there because I want to make sure that certain things are emphasized. Y'all just let me know if anything changes, and I'll make sure that I correct the audio. I'm turning it down a little bit for y'all because I want to make sure that this is perfect. So I'm gonna start it again. So the question she's asking this brother is, what impact do you think that serving in Vietnam had on the black man? And you know, a lot of us know that after Vietnam, that a lot of brothers was coming home to heroin all over the damn place.
What type of impact would you say serving in the Vietnam War had on your development as a black man?
Well, when I was in Vietnam, the war changed. You know, when I first went to Vietnam, I was gung ho. I was like, you know, give me 6 months and I'll end the war myself. You know, I had so much training. I had gone to officers candidate school, refused to be an officer, but I wanted to lay hands on the Vietnamese because that's
So his first mindset is, hey, we going out here, I'm fresh out of training. I want to get my hands on some Vietnamese because that's what they've been training for. But I want you to think about the trauma and the journey to that mindset in the first damn place. This is the road through confusion to confusion. But what he's going to begin to express next is even more profound. And it's why it's important to harp on just how poor our mental health is and focus on that, because I'm gonna talk about our culture as the modern day Hebrew Israelites. We got a culture where we cut them off, but right? We ready to cut them. We ready to get in the chat. We ready to get on the street. We ready to go wherever we gotta go. Somebody's comments on Facebook, a sister talk about how another sister supposed to have her hair covered. We wanna talk down about people for whatever we can, polygyny, what Sabbath we keep it. You goddamn name it. We ready to jump down somebody's throat about it. Let me know when I'm wrong. We ready to cut somebody about it, but how many of you know how to sew somebody back up again? How many of you have been taught within this culture how to properly sew somebody back up? What we do is we cut them and then, oh, confound it. And it's a means for celebration. We celebrate at confounding people. Now, when it's an Edomite, I love that. That's my favorite thing. But when it comes to our brothers and our sisters, though, that can't be the culture. I understand there got to be some sacrifices sometimes, because if a brother's in a high stature but he's teaching the wrong things, he has to be humiliated in some occasions for the sake of the audience that's viewing, so they can see that he didn't have the ideology that prevailed, so they can see that he wasn't with the Most High. That happens, but not as often as we treat this shit like it's a game of Street Fighter, like it's a couple rounds of Mortal Kombat. You know, we have such low self-esteem that when we learn ways to conquer, because there's this saying in the Latin, this phrase in the Latin where, you know, men have the lust to dominate. Like we just lust to dominate, especially men. Like we wanna dominate other men. I'm better than you. And that translates very poorly when we're trying to build up a nation. A lot of times we're tearing them down. Uh-oh. Hey, Brother Xavier said something important. So many civilians get hit, though. And that's the thing. When you're a man of war, you're not supposed to take pride in hitting civilians. You're supposed to say, I don't want to do you like this. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? But warning shot, I will protect myself. Next one's going to be fatal. We're supposed to get them warnings. But when you're really trained, you got to learn how to subdue the opposition without causing them to become undone. Part of it is the emotional dysregulation or regulation on their part, but part of it is us being able to regulate our emotions enough so that we can think properly. Coming from a hurt place, I ain't been able to have this or wield this type of power before. What am I going to use it for when I get to use it? Because now we got an opportunity. Are we going to be like that mall cop of a policeman that just want to shoot the first nigga he see because he ain't never had no authority and now he want to abuse it? Do we want to be the equivalent of that amongst our own people, what I would call wolves in sheep's clothing? Or do you want to cut your brother precisely so that you can stitch him back up, cut the infection out? And at FOG, that's our methodology. That's how we teach. We out here debating. Don't get it confused. But what we try to do is educate, which is to bring out of you. You know, we'll make you cut yourself before we have to cut you. And, you know, for us, it's that only honest people can finish a discussion with us. Because when you're honest having a discussion with us, you got to confront those mental blocks. You have to open your eyes, and that's hard for people. But you know, I'm proposing that we take a stance of like, yeah, if I'm gonna cut a brother, I got to make sure I'm ready to sew him back up. Well, I know what I'm talking about enough to sew him back up, and a lot of times we listen just to get that dagger in. So just a little side note, So because I just rambled and went on a little rant real quick, I'm gonna run this back just a little bit and we're gonna keep it moving. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have not. But share, that's the most important thing that you could do for us. We need this information propagated, especially if you feel like this has been a fruitful or an important lesson. Hey, if I've been blind 400 years, it hurts to open my eyes. You goddamn right. And it's a beautiful thing when you don't scatter like a roach when that light comes on, but instead you stand there and you try to just open them slowly. You know, that's a beautiful thing. But we'll kick a brother when he's down real quick.
Become officers candidate school, refused to be an officer, but I wanted to lay hands on the Vietnamese because that's the way we were.
So you got a brother dealing with aggression. He want to get his hands on something. He was young at the time. You know, I'm going to get my hands on the Vietnamese because that's how we was trained. Again, we thinking, what was the journey to get to this level of thinking?
Trained, you know. In retrospect, I feel stupid.
In retrospect, he feels stupid. He feels stupid that he was at a conclusion where I want to go out and I want to hurt these people. And when he explains why, you're going to start to see where I'm going with this.
But what happened when I was in Vietnam, the whole Muhammad Ali incident came up, and I was like fighting Vietnamese. So I couldn't really dive off into supporting Muhammad Ali, who was one of my personal heroes at the time. But what Muhammad Ali said turned all the black soldiers around. They don't talk about this.
So this was crazy to me when I heard it. You know, I watched the video for a different reason because this brother wrote a book called Crips. And the book that he wrote is what inspired the movie South Central. I don't know if y'all ever seen that movie, South Central. Real good movie, man. But his book inspired that. So I wanted to hear about just how that came into play and, you know, what his experience was to where he wrote a book called Crips. Um, you know, it was intriguing. But when he said this, he said it turned the whole war around. And I hadn't heard it from this perspective before. But think about the war that we're fighting every day. And we're fighting on different battlefronts as Black, Hispanic, Native American, whatever the damn, even the Israelites that scattered to the four corners, the fights that we're fighting regularly on the white man or whatever demon's behalf.
But before Muhammad Ali, the war was like we had cleaned up the Mekong Delta, which was south in Vietnam, and we were moving up north to confront the North Vietnamese, who were regular troops. The South Vietnamese were like Viet Cong, which were like poorly trained and really not any contest for us. But when I say we, I'm talking about brothers. I mean, brothers in the 101st, 101st, as we call it, Air Cab, brothers in the 83rd Airborne, but just brothers in general. We wanted to show that we, as black men, you know, were fully citizens, you know. Mm-hmm. But when Muhammad Ali said, ain't no Vietnamese ever, ain't no Viet Cong.
So the brother is saying that, you know, he's expressing, for lack of better words, he don't realize it's what he's saying. Maybe he does on the inside, but he's saying that we had an identity issue in the way that we wanted to make ourselves seen, how we felt like we would be able to be identified as something is to, you know, show what we're worth on the battlefield, show that we're good for something. But who are we trying to show? We're trying to show an appeal to the white man and his needs, you know, so that we could be we could be treated like we are of some value. But here's the thing. The minute you stop worrying about what the fuck the white man need or want from you, the minute you stop worrying about how you look to these white people, the minute you start worrying about the change that you can make just standing up as a Black, Hispanic, Native American, the Israelite the Bible speaks of, that's when the whole thing changes around, because this whole thing is only in motion because we allow it to be. You know, the same way the scriptures say there's no enchantment against Israel. You know, we have to be the ones that let those things come in and ruin us, right? Just like you, but you have to invite a vampire in your house. The only reason these crackers are sucking the blood up out of us is because we let them. Make no mistake about that. And this brother is elaborating on it from, you know, a stance where, you know, it makes it undeniable that this whole thing only floats because of our participation. But we only participate based off of the culture. You understand me? You're trying to be a good old American, you got to participate in that culture. Their culture is going out to war, killing people that got nothing to do with you. As long as we participate in their culture, we do things that we're going to end up feeling stupid about. We do things that hurt others, and we do things that's probably going to injure us. Because somebody mentioned PTSD. You got damn right about that. That PTSD is something that you're never going to be able to get rid of, but that's dabbling in their culture. So what happens if we realize that this ain't for us, just all at once? You know, Israel will be reborn in a day.
Ever called me a nigga? We stopped in full flight. It was like, wait a minute. The Sarge called me a nigga the other day. The lieutenant called me a nigga. This is the first war that was really integrated. And a lot of times white people would slip up and call us niggas. And so it was just too telling, you know. And all of a sudden it became, for me, don't kill people, kill time. We were plotting. When we got back, it was going to be like, we're going to change stuff with our hands, okay? And we had a little fear. I know I had very little fear.
Get them out.
So, you know, just for clarity, when he's talking about going back and changing things with their hands, this is where the Black Panthers got a lot of their training from, was brothers like him. And he goes and talks about it on the interview. That channel's called Comedy Hype. I'm gonna try to remember to put the link in the description. Make sure you go and check that channel out. That's where I seen the interview out at. It's called Comedy Hype, and it was a good interview. It was pretty lengthy. Got me through my work day, but you know, that's where a lot of the Black Panthers got their training from. He said, you know what? My mindset changed. Our mindset changed. We decided we ain't gonna kill people. We're gonna change the way this whole war is going, and instead of serving their cause, we're gonna plot. What a powerful thing. And all we trying to do as Israelites, if you're new to this channel, if you're new to any of this information, please understand that all we trying to do is call out to you Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American and tell you that you're the chosen people of God, right? And let you know that your culture is these laws, statutes, and commandments. And the culture that you've been endeavoring to keep and hold so tight onto ain't been serving you. All it's been doing is putting your homies in jail or on goddamn t-shirts. Your whole life, that's what it's been about. Your culture has been going broke to put money in that collection plate at your church or paying tithes to pastor, putting pork chops on his table. That's what your culture has been. Your culture has been putting dope in your veins or in your sister's nose or in your sister's esophagus, selling ass, selling whatever you can. You know, bloodshed, all that, all the negative things you can think of, we've dabbled in it and we found ways to make it even look good. And it's sick, toxic culture. So what you've been doing ain't been working, because I hear you talking about what we're going to do. We got to move back to Africa. Well, when your ass move back to Africa, you're going to be the same wicked nigga you was when you left America, because it's about what's going on in here. What's going on here is affected by what's going on here. The Most High gonna make you die with a trembling heart if you don't get this right. And that's what we're trying to say, is that, you know, if we could get you to think according to the culture that you come from, ultimately, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to link with brothers and y'all going to be able to kill time, not kill each other. Y'all going to be able to change things with your hands and manifest this kingdom, the kingdom of the Lord. And Yahweh Shai, the Son of God, going to come and he's going to fight for us, but he ain't going to do it while we begging but not showing nothing. You know, we got to put our money where our mouth is in the last days. Right. But anybody got any questions or comments so far? Any questions so far before we proceed? Because now we're going to go to the next segment and we're going to show how far off we are from, you know, being able to make this move that we're supposed to. And we're going to use Crip Mac as the example. That's what we're going to do. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're feeling the t-shirt, it does say True Jew. This is the True Jew camo. Red camo. We got a couple other flavors on the site. Let me actually put the website in the chat. That's another way that you can support the Recall House directly. You know, we sure appreciate you, and we got a lot more there. You know, you black men, you are the true Jews. You Israelites, you blacks, Hispanics, and you Native Americans are the people. So we got something for all of you. Let's see. Let me find the link. This site go crazy. I'm just gonna tell you that. I'm just gonna tell you that quiet as it's kept. Boom, the link in the chat. It's all in the chat. I'm gonna share the screen real quick. Now I'm not gonna share the screen because I need to keep this video going. Actually, if there aren't no questions, we're gonna continue with the video. He said, Hebrew of Hebrews said, I never knew why Europeans were so hell-bent on beating our nationality out of us. Yeah, they was very systematic with it to where there's even a term for it. It's called ethnocide, where you don't destroy the people physically, you destroy them culturally, you know, because they don't stand no chance against you if they can't regulate the way they're accustomed to. You know, and that's you know, that's the true meaning of culture shock. Like, say, for example, you go to another country and you know, everybody dresses different. You can't access the channels you used to access. You can't listen to the music you used to listen to. It's like homesick times 1,000. Right, but that puts the mind in a state of disarray. You know, the same way when you're in prison and they put you in solitary confinement and you lose your damn mind. It's meant to break you. You know, it's emotional dysregulation. It's abusing your mental. It's mental abuse, is what it is, to be honest. And it's meant to make you an empty vessel, basically. I could pour whatever the hell I want in you. Once I crack your mind open, to glue you back up however I want to. You ain't even got to look good no more. You just need to be able to hold what it is I want you to hold, right? So yeah, the white man is a devious bastard. So we're going to continue with this video.
And we had a little fear. I know I had big little fear.
Get them a house in the nearby Ontario, California.
So this is talking about Crip Mac. Crip Mac from the hood, grew up in the hood, so we say. And this is a bit of an expose on the man. So, you know, I'm going to let a lot of it play out because it speaks for itself.
This quiet and peaceful cul-de-sac is where Trevor spent the majority of his childhood, far from the wild streets of LA. From 1st to 3rd grade, Trevor attended Newman Elementary.
Now, what I want y'all to do is, as y'all listen, if this story starts to sound familiar, you don't got to know about this man right here, but if this story starts to sound familiar, I want you to put fire in the chat. That's what I need y'all to do. If this starts to sound familiar.
In Chino Hills, one of the highly ranked schools in the Inland Empire. However, despite being a sheltered kid, Trevor had all sorts of behavioral issues growing up.
I mean, this kid was jumping out of the window, you know, at 6 and 7 years of age, you know, to go out and explore and come back. And I just like, we had to lock the windows, and I'm sure he felt like incarcerated. And I know that feeling. But yeah, he definitely needed some guidance. He went to Newman Elementary School, and I would receive tons of calls.
Fair use, by the way, fair use.
Daily, just, your son, he's not doing what, we're asking him to do. He's doing just the opposite. So it's not that he's just not doing it. He's going to do the opposite. Through whittling at him, we through pyridazine, everything to try to get him regulated. So immediately
try to get him regulated. But the problem with the man was his culture was all fucked up. His dad was gone. His dad went and moved somewhere else. That's how the backstory goes. And so he had behavioral issues. And he might have been wired a certain way to where his mental health was poor to begin with. But what happened was his home structure was torn apart like so many of us. And it's unfortunate. And what happens, it creates instability. Because what's important for a child is to have a routine, to have constant reassurance. Psychologically speaking, they say that children are narcissistic, right? Because it is all about them and they don't comprehend anything about needing the nurturing of their parents. So what happens when you peel that away is it's the first step towards emotional dysregulation. Even if your parents are around, but they're not present, emotionally available, it creates emotional dysregulation, again, which is the first step to these mental health issues that we suffer from in our communities.
A young mom, that was very, very challenging.
To mend these issues, Trevor's mom sent him to a private military boarding school hours away. However, after 14 months, Trevor was expelled and sent back home to Chino, California.
So we put him in military school, and they did drills, they did academics, they did PT. He was up early in the morning, and he was disciplined for about 14 months. Very challenging on me.
So the military school didn't help him at all?
He got kicked out of military school. Kicked out of military school. They said, I'm sorry, we don't have anything else that we...
Now, the problem is, with our culture, we celebrate shit like that. Oh, you're a badass kid, that's what's up. And we like that shit. We like that we destroyed. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is a Jaffa dude, but, this is a lot of story. This is the story of a lot of brothers, actual brothers.
Offer your son at this time on, his behavior.
Hebrew of Hebrews, calm. Envy not, thou the oppressor. All we've done is escalate a game of cowboys versus Indians. We playing a game of cops and robbers, and don't nobody want to be the cop. Everybody want to be the fucking robber. Cowboy culture. We have inherited that. We want to be shoot them up, bang bang, and we glorify that type of violence. You know what I'm saying? Because that just is what it is. We envy the oppression. In a lot of ways. There's other things that we carry from other nations too. Don't get me wrong.
It's too drastic.
And Trevor and Crystal moved in with Granny Bear in Katy, Texas. However, Granny decided to
fair use.
Send him to school in Houston so he could be with a family friend. Little did Granny know this family friend was an official Rolling 60s member from Southwest Houston.
So, man, this is where it starts to get crazy. This is where it starts to get crazy.
Well, when Trevor met him, he decided to tell him that he himself was an official Rolling 60s member from LA. He also told him that he went by Woodard in the streets.
Yeah. You meet Woodard. He sophomore, junior, your senior, however.
I'm the reason he ended up going to Aces.
Okay, just walk us through y'all's relationship.
All right. His grandma stayed in Katy. You already know Katy is not an A-League school.
It's suburb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for being ISD.
I stayed.
Damn,
I always
sugar.
stayed at A-League. Yeah. So he was registered to my house to go to Aces because I went to Aces.
The school he attended was Elsick Hastings, and it just so happened to be in a Rolling 60s neighborhood. Well, when C-Mac got there, he began telling everyone that he was an official Rolling 60s member from LA. To make matters worse, he even told them that they're doing everything wrong. How suburban Trevor felt like he was in position to tell them anything is beyond me.
So when he came out here to us, he made it seem like he was put on. But I
he was saying he was from there. He was saying he was on the set.
He was saying he was on the set. Okay.
Now, for contrast, let's let suburban Trevor tell the story himself.
Y'all not doing right out here. Crips don't get along with Crips in LA. And didn't say nothing, Kel. And then they don't free me and beat the out of me.
Well, that was not the real reason he was DP'd. It was actually for false claiming 60s.
You see Crip back around, he's hanging around, and he comes to Hood. So That's Texas Hood Day you talking about?
Texas Hood Day.
For the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay, so he coming to the Hood Day, and at the Hood Day he on the set.
Yeah, nah.
According to
him.
Okay. And he has to be like 15, 16, 14 around
16. I'm gonna say 16, 17. Don't get it twisted. He always was a thick crap, you know what I'm saying? But he wasn't. If you get what I'm saying.
The Houston 60s thought that he was an official member from LA and they accepted him in. But once they got a call from LA, everything would go bad.
Fair use.
A year later, he been thugging with you.
Thugging.
Y'all rocking. You know what I'm saying? And y'all get a call.
Like family and all that.
And y'all get a call from the mother.
Yeah.
Cap.
Yeah, we talking to them everything we want. They was like, nah, cuz ain't never get put on. So you already know that's a total offense to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody who put they blood, sweat, and tears of this shit, but don't play with it. You know what I'm saying? Don't play with it.
How did y'all react when y'all got the news that it was flawed?
It was, you lied to us. So this is what we're gonna do, and this is how we're gonna handle it. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't handle that pressure. He took off.
What you mean took off?
Oh, he took off. After that happened, we don't hear from him.
He wouldn't be heard of in Houston for years. After he was caught cosplaying a rolling 60, he decided.
So, this early on, what we understanding is that this young man had behavioral issues. He was dealing with some imbalance in his background, so he looked to grab onto another culture based on how he felt about it, but he grabbed onto it very superficially, which became dangerous. And we just talked about that. It's dangerous when you lean up against something that you're not certain about. If you're certain, you stand firm on it. They're saying that he was standing on it until the ground, started to shake because he wasn't supposed to be there. So he couldn't handle the consequences that come with the cripping or with the false claiming. And so he took off, so that's being half involved in a culture. But being half involved in a culture can be dangerous. I'm not saying it's bad to try other people's food from different cultures or anything like that, or it's bad to dabble, but you have to use discernment about what you're dabbling in. And when you're just going off of the look and feel of certain things, sometimes it becomes dangerous, it becomes disrespectful. What he participated in is called cultural appropriation. And in some places that's cause for war. So the consequences was he was supposed to get his ass beat for it, but he took off. So we're gonna continue.
To head back to Cali, and here is where the story gets even more twisted. C-Mac claims that he went from Houston to South Central at 16.
Packed my shit and ran back to LA. I was on 59th and 8th Avenue by Crenshaw and Slauson by Nips Hood. I was in the Dorset Village with them niggas over there. Then I moved with my auntie on 45th and Western.
But in reality, C-Mac was living in Chino and attending Fontana High School. If you don't believe me, he actually said it on his old Facebook page, and he's in the class of 2011 yearbook. But
this is where it starts to get weird.
Just because he was living in the suburbs does not mean that he wasn't banging. In fact, he started his own hood. On December 22nd, 2012, Crip Mac officially started the Trey Chino Gator Crips. But wait, later that same day, he actually changed the name to the Trey Deuce Chino Gator Crips. I suppose they moved the block over or something? I don't know. But here's how committed he was. He decided he would get them tatted on his arm. Well, it's actually not a they, because C-Mac was the only member. Because of this, he had ultimate control, kind of like a Madden franchise. He chose Chino as the city, a gator as the logo, and green as their color. So from what I'd assume, C-Mac would stand outside his cul-de-sac, wave his green rag, and wait for any devious soccer moms to roll down the block. But wait, just a week later, their name would change once again, now known as the 4-5 Chino Gators. Well, this only lasted for 8 more days, as C-Mac then decided that he was a 5-deuce Hoover. He even dissed the whole neighborhood card. Yes, in 2012, Crip Mac claimed Hoover and dissed the whole neighborhood.
So at this point, what the young man has in common with Israel is we be all over the place. And yeah, when it comes to just the gang culture, you're right, we be fighting over this little bit of space when we could be ruling the whole world together. We got to learn to value one another and not, materials more than each other, or having an inferiority complex or feeling like strength in numbers at the expense of the rest of your nation. Like, we don't understand nationhood. But what he has in common with us at large, you know, even outside of the gang culture is, you know, when he was coming up, he was all over the place from a very young age. And it did nothing but create confusion. And he wasn't able to mature mentally. And that's what we're dealing with. You know, we're emotionally immature. You know, a lot of us, because of our backgrounds, because we're all over the place. If we was really hardcore Christians, right, followers of Christ, we would have a way better outcome right now. But we don't. Why? Because we all over the place. We Christian on Sunday, and then we, you know, popping it on a handstand on Monday through Saturday, or whatever the hell. And that's what our culture is just dipping, dabbling in everything, trying to serve many masters, let alone two.
Good card. If you ask me, that's not keeping it nifty on 50s. Well, his life.
Like, notice, you know, he's dabbling in it, but in he's dissing the people that he's supposed to be aligned with. The same way that we supposed to participate in Christianity and all these different religions, but then we, at the same time, out of the same mouth, disrespect the God we claim we serve. And it's just, you know, again, it's us moving in madness and blindness is what we're doing. And it's just unfortunate. So we're gonna continue. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't shared the video, if you haven't subscribed, it's very important that you do so.
As an internet Hoover would not last long, as now he was on to claiming different hoods.
What's going on, everybody? It's August.
He went from being from Hoover to being a Hoover killer.
Damn. It's my young homeboy, my King 5 Fingers voice. It's Evil Loke. It's Baby Hoover Killer Destruction. See that on Hustlers. Now, I'm going to say, all right, Swamp Story came out about this and that.
Now, he's talking about Swamp Stories. That's the little expose, the little portion of the expose we was just listening to. So he's going to address what was just being said of him. And this is what's alarming to me. And what's even more alarming is that if you look into the comments on a lot of this dude's video, he's being commended for this behavior by nerds on the internet who are doing the same thing. They're dabbling a little bit in this culture because it's entertaining to them. You know, and because it's entertaining to them, they'll willingly push a brother, and they'll push this man off of a cliff, celebrating shit that if you really in the streets like that, you can identify where he's fucking up at. Because a nigga in the streets ain't trying to get in the streets. He's trying to get out the goddamn streets. And there's some brothers that really are addicted to him, but the way that he's moving is very destructive. And because we're so watered down, like everything's so damn watered down as far as the street shit. Like right now, the street shit is some internet shit. And Shalaki for the language. I'm frustrated today, and I'm really just trying to keep it casual with y'all. So I'm just being me. So I hope y'all can appreciate that, Salakia. But this is adults only type of conversation that, you know, y'all can have with your children on y'all's own time. But this is very alarming. What he does.
Homeboy, my King 5 Fingers voice. It's Evil Loke. It's Baby Hoover Killer Destruction. See that on Hustlers. Now, I'm going to say, all right, Swamp Story came out about this and that. All right, yeah. That issue was taken care of, hood. You find me? On Hustlers, yeah. I would throw it in there, whatever, Cal, neighborhood crap. Hey, I'm a homeboy with a high rank. Really gangbanging from 55th Street. You hear me? I really play ball. I really do this shit out here in real life, yeah. Anybody can say what they want to say. Fishy Cake says I'm an internet thug. Custerface says I'm I'm scary, I'm this and that. Hey, Oh, neighborhood crip, I'm none of that, nigga. I'm a real playboy gang banger. Everybody got some bad shit I say about me. Yeah, I was from another hood.
Yeah, I was from another hood. So he prefaces with, I'm a real gangbanger. I really do this shit. But then he's gonna say, yeah, I was from another hood.
Yeah, I got put off.
Yeah, I got put off for not being strong enough in the culture. Yeah, I got put off.
Claim I was from other people's hood. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying I was from other people's hoods. Yeah, I was double, triple, quadruple minded about where I wanted to be and where I was gonna be. And I was unstable. So he's admitting to that.
Whatever. So the fuck what, dude? Yeah, whatever.
So what? Yeah, whatever. He's admitting it.
So the fuck what, nigga? But can't nobody say.
But can't nobody say.
On neighborhood crib, I've ever snitched, starved nothing down, cuz. On neighborhood crib in jail or none of that, cuz.
I never turned nothing down, meaning like I'm ducking no fade. Niggas want to run the fade, I run the fade. I'm adamant about it. So he's saying like all the negativity that you can associate it with the destruction that I can cause, I'm gonna identify with that. That's what makes me a solid person. So what he's saying is, and the reason why this is giving him clout is because we are people who are in that we are just engulfed in a culture that ain't no fucking culture. We are people that are impressed by crazy shit. Like to be crazy is admirable. Remember, the scriptures say that folly has been, set in a high place, while the rich sit in a low place. Folly is set in great dignity, Salaki. So this is folly, but it's set in great dignity. Our people are like, yeah. I seen a brother say he's becoming a legend right in front of our eyes. Now the nigga becoming a t-shirt in front of our eyes. And y'all gonna push him there because ain't nobody grabbing him by the shoulders and saying, hey, bro, what you doing ain't safe. He said, yeah, I was hood hopping. Yeah, I was false claiming. I was making shit up and blah, blah, blah. But I don't duck no fade. So as long as I'm violent, as long as I cause problems for people, it's okay that I'm unstable. And that's how he justifies his behavior. You see the flaw in that? And that's the commonality that he has with Israel, is that we don't take rebuke. We don't look at the things that we do wrong and say, damn, we could do better. We say, yeah, I've done those things, but I also, you talk to a Christian on the street, if you're doing the work, it's, yeah, we got to repent. We got to repent. We got to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments. They be like, yeah, I know I'm wicked, but God know my heart. Yeah, I know I'm wicked, but I feed the homeless. And that's called being retarded. Shalom, seed of Israel from South Seattle in the building. Powerful brothers over there from my city. You know what I'm saying? The brothers over there performing mightily. I seen that they took y'all channel down, man. The devil's mad that y'all out there swinging sword the way that you do, man. We appreciate y'all. Shout out to other brothers that's doing the work in truth and sincerity in the chat. Again, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. And look at the level of retardation that this man is thinking with. So I'm gonna run it back just in case anybody's coming in fresh.
Baby, who would kill a destruction? See that? All hustlers. Now, I'm gonna say, all right, Swamp story came out about this and that. All right, yeah. That issue was taken care of, hood. You find me? On hustlers, yeah. I would throw in there, whatever, Cal, neighborhood crap. Hey, I'm a homeboy with a high rank. Really gang back.
Homeboy with a high rank. That's problematic. If I'm dealing with an organization, I'm building something, I'm not gonna put somebody who's that mentally unstable in a high rank. But look, this is what I'm talking about. We aspire to be retarded. We exalt the retards. And when I say retard, I'm not talking about mental health at this point in time. I'm talking about how, retarded as far as impeded, just overall. Everything that we do it's almost like it's done to slow us down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking with the Most High's preordination in mind, it's like The Most High created certain people that are the retardation. They're like gum in the gears of this machine that is Israel. It's like gum in the machine. And so this brother's like gum, this man is like gum in the machine. And we exalt brothers and sisters who are like gum in the machine, the Megan Thee Stallions, the Beyoncés, the Lil Uzi Verse, the you name it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when I look at this and I see this man saying that he's a gangbanger, he's a homeboy with a high rank, who put him in that position and why? Oh, it's because we crazy, right? You see the flaw there. He just admitted that he did all those things, whereas, you know, back in the day, man, before this shit started getting watered down, and I'm no gangbanger, let me say, but I kind of saw a lot of this watered down shit coming. When a lot of this back in the day before this shit got watered down, you can't be that unstable and then get put onto a hood and then become of high rank. Like, that's problematic. You know, even in Seattle with the little bit of gangbanging that we got, that's not something that I am used to seeing until this watered down era. I'm equipped with a high rank. Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. Hell yeah. And we couldn't win a fight with the military because, you know, we do these things with a lack of knowledge. That's for damn sure. We put nut jobs in a position of high rank. Like, you could be a pawn for sure, you know, and that ain't how we should be treating our people, but you should at least know how to position your pieces on the chessboard, even if you don't know how to play. You know, the first step is to know where to put your pieces at. And, you know, the next step is to learn what function they serve. But it's at this point, we just doing shit just to do it. It's just arbitrary motions. We just going through the motions. Why? Because we're dealing with emotional instability. We're dealing with emotional dysregulation. We're dealing with mental health issues on a level that's so high. And that's the main thing that drives these curses. Having an evil eye towards your brother, that's mental health. You're mad at your fucking reflection. You know, that's mental health issues. Imagine you see your reflection, you walk in the house, you look in the mirror, you see your reflection, you shoot the mirror. That's whack job shit. You know, and that's how we live. And we're accustomed to it, to where now this behavior is where I gotta be if I'm gonna be perceived to be something. You know, one of my favorite rappers right now is Mozzie, because unfortunately I still deal with, you know, my little shit. You know, I still listen to certain things because it reminds me that I'm not imagining the shit I've been through. You know, I listen to Mozzie a lot. He said, without a body, niggas treat you like you ain't nobody. Meaning, if you haven't killed somebody, people look at you like you ain't shit in certain places. And because the lunacy is what gets you to a high rank. And it's good to be a man of war, but when you're a man of war and that war is with your own people, it's self-destructive inherently. Ain't no way around it. So we'll continue.
I'm gonna take you there straight. You hear me? I really play ball. I really do this shit out here in real life, yeah. Anybody can say what they want to say. Fishy Cake says I'm an internet thug. Custer Face says I'm I'm scary, I'm this and that. Hey, oh neighbor.
El Gallo in the building, Shalom. Shalom to everybody that just came in. Shalom to everybody that just came in. I appreciate y'all. Please make sure that y'all thumb up the video. Make sure that y'all subscribe. And please make sure that y'all share. We need this lesson to go out because our people are nuts.
Crip, I'm none of that, nigga. I'm a real playboy gang banger. Everybody got some bad shit I say about me. Yeah. I was from another hood. Yeah, I got put off, but I was claiming I was from other people's hood. Yeah, whatever. So the fuck what, nigga? Yeah, whatever. So the fuck what, nigga? But can't nobody say on neighborhood crib I've ever snitched, stomped nothing down, cuz, on neighborhood crib in jail or none of that, cuz, or did no roll up weird ass shit on listers. And I really play ball, yellow taper, on hood, on all my dead crips I love. Motherfuckers don't know me, cuz. Hey, quit playing with my name. You troll ass niggas and you fishy ass bitches on hood. You must.
Now, I don't know the brother, and this is not like this isn't a laughing matter. And it's just from a little bit I know and a little bit I've seen. It seems like he might be dealing with schizophrenia a little bit. Just the way that he directs his attention and his energy is off, like he's being bombarded with spirits or something. It just seemed like that. So, I don't know if anybody know this man's backstory, but if you got any insight to that, let me know. But it really seemed like he's dealing with some schizophrenia.
Fucking snakes on hood. Any fish think she gonna change how I think? I love Jesus. Yeah, I love God on neighborhood crib. And she says I'm a little evil. Well, guess what? My motherfucking best homeboys is HK Destruct.
Shalom, Azariah, the captain in the building out there in Jacksonville. If you in Jacksonville, please tap in with us because we need Akim out there. We need Akim in Dallas. Matter of fact, while y'all in the chat, let us know where you at with it. He said all his homeboys is H killer destruction mode, Hoover killer destruction mode, and so he's saying this is what's good about me, despite the instabilities that I exhibit.
It was my young homeboys. It was Blue Devil and Evil. So evil is something, but at the same time, can't nobody make me remove my tattoos when this is what I've earned and I live 5 on all the dead Crips I love. I love this shit. I am big Hoover killer destruction. I am big Hoover killer screw loose on hustlers. I am big.
Now, when it transitions to the next part of it, you're going to see that he's also dealing with some type of, possibly some type of personality disorder, some type of identity disorder. I'm not saying that definitively, but I'm just saying it appears to be that way. And that's a struggle that a lot of us deal with. That's a struggle that a lot of Israelites deal with, this man being a Japhite. But nonetheless, it is real. It's going on out there, and it's amongst the gangbangers, it's amongst the rappers, it's amongst the regular 9-to-5 people out there, the civilians and the soldiers alike. And so the only way that we can get from this shit is to get into the law, statutes, commandments. Screw loose, right? You see that? So he's the crazy shit is, when you're in like middle school and high school, that's a way to get girls, because stupid ass girls want a nigga that's crazy and can fight. But like when you start to get the age he's at, according to certain sources, he started gangbanging like officially. He finally got put on the hood when he was like 31 or something, or older than 31. That's, your brain's done developing around 30. And so it goes to show you that if that is in fact true, well, with that mental instability, it impedes your ability to mature. It's a form of arrested development that occurs. So earlier when I told y'all that his father left, that arrested development from taking his stability at that early age, it caused to where it impeded his development, his mental development.
Crazy. I am a falcon face.
And good catch, Hebrew of Hebrews. That's why we preface the lesson with, what mental illness is and where the scriptures tell us that mental illness is going to be a curse.
I am baby Crip Mac on hood. I am baby Snooper K on hood. I got multiple names. I'm also Lucifer on hustlers and big 50 ounce, nigga. Hey, I got names, cuz I've earned all my names. I really gang bang and I do my damn thing on hood. And I don't play games with no motherfucking body. And I'm gonna keep it 55th Street.
On January 24th, 2013, CMAC was invited to a party hosted by the Trey 57 Pomona Crips. And what do you know? Just 2 days later, CMAC is on Facebook claiming Trey 57 and dissing their opposition. At this point, Crip Mac is like the Tiana Trump of the LA streets. But wait, we're not even in the LA chapter of his life yet, and from here it only gets worse. Before going to LA, CMAC would claim one more made-up set, the 7-1 Chino Village. Well, this did not last long, and now he was on to his next venture, rapping.
Get money every time. Get money. Your girl like me and my swag is so official.
Your girl likes me and my swag is so official. You gotta. I didn't mean to laugh, but that part was funny. You know, you can tell what time that is based off of that beat right there. You know what I'm saying? Pretty boy swag. Girl on my when a pretty boy swag, but your girl like me and my swag is so official. What I want y'all to look at is his facial expression. So with him being the type of liar that he is all the time, and with him being unstable as he is all the time, you don't really know. You don't really know if he believes what he's saying or not when he's saying it. And you know, you're not always gonna be able to read somebody by their facial expressions, but you know, when you look in this brother's eyes, man, this man's eyes, Salaki, it's it's scary. It's scary because a lot of us don't even care to read these signs. You know what I'm saying? You could get over obsessed in it, um, but it's a good thing to do. Is just try to like just be aware. Social cues. Me and my wife be talking about them. You know, we go into it a lot about body language. You know, because there's people who are stoic, but then there's some people who aren't there, and it just seems like he ain't there, and it's sad.
At this point, he's already 20 years old. He tried being a rolling 60 in Texas, then came back, tried to claim 5 different sets, and then pursue a rap career. So now, what is the next step for C-Mac DeLoach?
I've never seen nobody rap with their face look blank like that. Your girl like me and my swag so official. Like I never seen it. Am I tripping, y'all? Does he seem to really be um, young screw loose, or you know, was he playing about that? Let me know if I'm tripping.
Also known as Suburban Trevor. Well, this is when he finally moved to the city of Los Angeles, moving in with his girlfriend on 111th in Vermont. From here, he tried to get put onto Acacia Block in Compton, but they didn't want him, so he decided to keep it moving. His next try was the infamous Rolling 60s, and they decided to let him in. So in August of 2013, Crip Mac officially joined the Rolling 60s. At 20 years old, his lifelong dream had finally come true. Crip Mac had made it out of the suburbs and into the streets of South Central LA. The reverse of what everyone else in the world is trying to do. I guess Crip Mac was the original John Moran. Well, unfortunately, his life as a Rolling 60 would not last long. In fact, after just a year, he was DP'd and put off the set.
However it went, I didn't make the cut through the GP. I got put off, whatever.
His dream life was now over with. He literally tried everything possible to become a respected member of something. He then decided to move to Vegas with his mother for the next year.
Now, what's cold is now because of these things, he's a laughing stock. Or what is Israel? What are we? We're a laughing stock. We're a proverb and a byword. They saying like he tried his hardest to be, you know, a respected member of something, and a lot of us we just want to be able to identify with something. And this is why I found it necessary to show you the brother in the beginning of the video. You know, he just wanted to represent, you know, black men just wanted to have dignity and show that they were good for something. And so they misidentified in order to do so. And eventually he felt stupid for it. But all of us almost are dealing with this, some form of identity issue, whether it's because we feel like we got to have somebody else's straight hair in our head, our hair color ain't good enough, or we got to have a tattoo on somewhere because somebody else got a tattoo in that same place, whatever the case may be. And we're bombarded with it. And the world is, but the thing is, the Most High, he created us to be set apart. So we got to really learn to lean into that.
But after a year in Vegas, C-Mac returned to South Central LA as he decided to give banging one more try. Sometime between January of 2015 and 2017, C-Mac was officially put on to 55th Street. This means that he was put on between the ages of 22 and 24 years old. Regardless, from this day, it's been 55th.
So I was wrong. I said in his 30s, but that's hella old to start gangbanging.
Street ever since. Why they'd accept an applicant like him who's been tossed around, I don't know, but here we are. After a year of being a 55th Street member, C-Mac was arrested and sent to jail for stealing a bike. C-Mac actually did 2 years in prison where he
25, 26, and you're still selling bikes. I mean, stealing bikes. That's problematic. That's a real petty theft. And you know, people do shit like that for attention. People steal certain things for clout, and then people steal certain things to make some money. You're not making no money off no bike. You know what I'm saying? That's crackhead money. That's dope fiend money right there. And you know, he don't give me dope fiend vibes. So it seemed like it might have been a attention stunt, or maybe he just didn't feel like walking somewhere that is a possibility. But just with the patterns behind him, it might have been an attention thing. But at 25 to get arrested for 25, 26 to get arrested for stealing a bike, Israel at the age we have, we still doing stupid shit every day. We're still behaving deplorably.
Program Time 5. Well, after being released in 2020, he returned to LA with content creation on his mind. At first, it was simply funny videos that caught people's attention, but then he started dissing the Hoovers relentlessly.
I ain't letting up on them. Yeah. Ever.
When the Hoovers saw this, they were shocked because they didn't even know who this was. This is because out of his then 27 years of life, only 3 were actually spent in LA. Thus why the enemies he has whacked out on his forehead claim they've never seen him in their life.
C-Mac is like really like not a focus in my eyes. I have never seen him. I don't know no.
After we finish the video, Cap, I'm gonna bring you in. You can come in regardless right now. Let me know when you're ready. I'm gonna drop the link for you, or you gonna come in through StreamYard.
None of my friends seen him. Like, I mean, he just like something to joke around with, like play with it, but don't worry about that man like that. You know, serious like topic. Like,
I gotta ask,
So this is called clout chasing. I'm sure we all know it. He's trying to get a name and trying to get known for dissing people that don't even know him, who he is, or you know, basically he's trying to get a name. And it's understandable. It says a good name is better than fine ointment, but in his culture, that's how you get a good name. But that's not our culture, you understand me? So that's not something that's going to serve him well. Having having Hoover Killer tattooed on his head, that doesn't speak longevity. It's not giving a well thought through individual.
the beef with you and C-Mac start?
I'm gonna correct it first of all. It's not no beef.
Okay.
Like, no, there's no way we beef.
Okay.
That's entertainment. Ain't no such thing as no beef.
Because you never met him, never seen him.
I never seen him. I never heard of him before the internet. Like I said, I've been in the streets my whole life. I never heard of him or nothing. So I'm finna beef with him. I'm not finna beef with you over no internet. I got too much street credit for that. Like, I don't know who you are. 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 I don't know who you are.
No one in South Central knew who C-Mac was because he spent his entire life in Texas and Chino Hills. Oh yeah, and Las Vegas as well. Regardless, it was a true recipe for YouTube success, and Adam22 began taking notice. On March 16th, 2021, the Crip Mac No Jumper interview was dropped and it went absolutely viral. One thing to notice is that since that video, his voice and cadence has changed completely.
He imitates the gang, actually.
Now watch this. This is where it gets creepy. This is where it gets creepy, and this is why I say it seemed like he might have some type of personality disorder. So just pay attention. He keeps on reinventing himself. You know, it's like, yeah, you might be playing a character, that's show business, but you know, when it's about this whole, oh, I'm really out here gangbanging shit, you know, it's not matching up. So it's like, is you playing a character or is you not? And if it's real and this is not you playing, then you're reinventing yourself because you don't really have a personality. And some of that is indicated through his eyes and the way that he expresses his emotions. You see his emotions expressed here, aggression, a brother that got some aggression issues. And, but a lot of what he got going on is disassociative up here. Like his soul is somewhere deeply embedded, deeply embedded and deeply pressed down. But you can see that he does feel aggression. And I feel like that's the part of him that, that's still the inner child in him that didn't develop all the way.
He's not a gangbanger. This is not a gang.
Watch.
Well, after the No Jumper interview, all of the fans wanted to see him in his hood. And boom, that's when Andrew recipe for YouTube success, and Adam22 began taking notice. On March 16th, 2021, the Crip Mac No Jumper interview was dropped and it went absolutely viral. One thing to notice is that since that video, his voice and cadence has changed completely.
He imitates the gang life, but he's not a gangbanger. This is not a gang.
Since that video, his voice and cadence has changed completely.
You heard how he was like, I edited it and I messed up how I edited it, but you was gonna hear a lot more how he's talking like this, like he sound like a damn chicken damn bit. But now
it's the gang life, but he's not a gangbanger. This is not a gang.
Well,
remember, your girl loved me and my swag is so official. Some people have different rap voices than their speaking voice, and it's just because, how do I get the best sound? And that makes sense. How do I get the best range out of my voice? That makes sense. But his speaking voices are drastically different. Some people become more comfortable in their own skin. That's understandable when they do public speaking. But just things to be aware of when people's character fluctuates so drastically so often, especially late in life, it's indicative of, late development or no development, or just a personality disorder where you got a whole bunch of different personalities. In minor ways, we deal with that. We call it code switching, right? You talk to Master one way and you talk to everybody else another way.
After the No Jumper interview, all of the fans wanted to see him in his hood. And boom, that's when Andrew Callahan drops the legendary Crip Mac vlog. After watching the video, the first thing that came to my mind is, where are all of his fellow members? Why is it always just him on the block? In vlog after vlog after vlog, I could not find any fellow 55th Street members. Where are the 55th Street members? The whole world needed to know. And unfortunately, we all found out in the worst way possible. In January of 2022, Crip Mac's old Facebook page was revealed. All of the posts claiming fake sets, dissing the neighborhood card, and saying he's done with banging. And this is when the 55th Street members decided to come out of the woodworks. His fellow members gave him one of the worst DPs in history that lasted over 7 minutes long. But the worst part about it is that they recorded it and uploaded it to the internet. This was dead wrong on so many levels. Yes, C-Mac should not have posted all that, but why would you disrespect your brother to that extent? And as a 30-year-old man, why are you letting this happen to you? But that's when we learned that this is how 5'5" treats Crip Mac on the regular.
You'd have been DP like 5 times.
About 5 times. About 5 times. But DP only makes a man stronger because you can survive harder in the county jail.
Yeah.
Trust us to read that, dude.
From what I heard in South Central, they call dudes like C-Mac total crash dummies. Guys like him from the suburbs are treated badly by their set and they're told to do things they don't want to do. Maybe this explains all of the face tats, how he speaks, and why he's always...
This is true, but I never heard of none of them get put on before. Like, when squares would come around us back in the day, especially like crackers, they come around trying to like get out and stuff like that. Nah, you gonna run that debit card up, you gonna buy all the alcohol for the party, and then then there's no use for you and stuff like that. But people getting put on the hood, I never heard of that part of it. But then again, I wasn't gangbanging, but that's usually how we treat people who's outsiders and clearly just trying to treat the situation that we got going on like it's some kind of safari expedition or some shit.
trying to overprove himself. For guys like King Von, for example, they're actually born into this life, almost without a choice. But for Crip Mac, he decided to move to LA at 21 years old and join a crew that he didn't know a single member of. Not to mention that he chose to have ops that don't even know he exists. All of this to fill his identity crisis and void for brotherhood. So for all of the young men out there dealing with the same thing, please realize that this is not the way to do it.
So, look, that's crisis mode right there. That's him dealing with, an internal struggle where he wants some brotherhood. He obviously needed a male influence in his life in absence of his father. And it's completely understandable. But when we go about it this way, it just leads us to destruction. It just leads us to destruction. So we're gonna go into a few scriptures. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're gonna do. Excuse me. I'm gonna start with Proverbs 5:15. Share my screen. I'll make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We need the promotion. We need the promotion out there. Especially if this lesson has been powerful, if it's been beneficial, we need the support. Let's just do K. So it says, drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of waters in the streets. Let them be only thine own and not strangers with thee. Stop participating in this watered down shit and stop taking a hold of everybody else's culture, bringing this all full circle. We talked about the mental health issues. Well, again, the mental health issues started with us being so divided mentally, right? Y'all remember that's what we went into. It's us being divided mentally. And this might not be big enough. Can y'all see these? A little bigger for y'all. We're gonna go to let's see. So look, the next one is this. They that did feed delicately are desolate in the streets. They that were brought up in scarlet, they embrace dunghills. We was brought up in royalty. We supposed to be a mighty nation of people. We supposed to be princes, priests, kings, so on and so forth. But now we're embracing dunghills. So much that we're willing to kill each other for it. And we're popularizing it so that people like this Japhite, now they're glorifying it. Somebody asked me about being a light to the nations. Well, the Most High Son, Yahushua, said that his name is defiled among the Gentiles through us. So as opposed to us representing properly for the Most High and his kingdom and his glory, we're instead spitting on it. And we look stupid in the sight of the nations. And like any father, it's embarrassing for him to see his children out in the world behaving like that. You see? Let's see. Isaiah 59:10, referring back to the curse. We grope for the wall like the blind, and we grope as if we had no eyes. We don't have to grope as if we had no eyes, but we don't want to wake up and smell the bullshit for what it is. We want to keep our eyes closed. We want to continue to move based off of how we feel, meaning we're going to sensationalize some BS and we're going to cleave to that opposed to doing what's the righteous thing to do, because we've learned to identify with the wrong things. We want to be the man who owns the dunghill as opposed to the man that's doing right, making an honest living, whether he's an entrepreneur or working a 9 to 5. We just don't want to be associated with that because that man is a square. That man is a lame. It's not exciting enough because there's not that rush that comes with making your life more uncertain than it already is. There is a rush to that. There is an aspect of that that's addictive. I can't lie about it. But if you open your eyes, you can't deny that it's the wrong way no more. That's the point. We stumble at noonday as in the night. We are in desolate places as dead men. Why? Because he that wandereth out of the way of understanding, he's going to remain where? He's going to remain in the congregation of the dead. Let's go to Hosea 2, I believe. Look at this. Hosea chapter 2, I'm going to start at verse 11. I will cause all her mirth to cease. This is talking about us. I will cause all her mirth to cease. Her feast days, her new moons, her Sabbaths, and her solemn feasts. And I will destroy her vines and her figs, her fig trees thereof. She has said, these are my rewards that my lovers have given me, and I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. So I'm going to invest in the things that I get from this world, right? I'm not going to sow spiritually. I'm going to esteem the things that I've got from these other nations above what the Most High promised and what he's already given me. That's what we've done. So we've traded our riches for nothing. That's the story of the prodigal son, right? We trade in all our substance and we take what the other nations give us and we want to sow and then reap from that. But what the prodigal son found out was that when the drought came, the other nation didn't have nothing to offer him. God, they didn't have nothing to offer him. These streets ain't got nothing to offer us unless we going out in them streets to fish out other brothers and sisters to come do his work, to be strong mothers and fathers, to be strong warriors for the Most High so that we can reverse these curses and get the hell up out of here so that we can put chains on our enemies, so that we can lead them into captivity that led us into captivity instead of chasing each other with the sword. It says, and I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, whereof she have said, these are my rewards that my lovers have given me, and I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. So all the rewards that we got from our lovers, from these other nations, from these other religions, the Most High is going to destroy it all, and it's never going to get a chance to serve us. And I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, wherein she burned incense to them. She decked herself with earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers and forgot me. You know, we started to identify with these other nations. We forgot the Lord. Remember when I showed you in Deuteronomy, when it talks about us being destroyed, that's us forgetting ourselves. So them curses is cold. The Most High said, if you do this, it's going to cause you to do this, and it's going to lead you to this, and your mind is going to end up doing this. It's crazy. We serve a mighty God, but we done fell into his hands being wicked. So, you know, we got to reverse these curses by making our bodies a living sacrifice in these last days. Jeremiah chapter 50. We're going to start at verse 6. My people have been lost sheep. We're people that don't know who we are on the inside. Now we know we're a nation. Now we got to figure out where you fit in within this culture, because that's when you're going to really regulate your emotions. Remember, I told y'all when it comes to mental health and the emotional regulation, it's not necessarily the culture that you attach to as much as it's about how deeply you're rooted in that culture. So you have to pick the right culture first, but then you have to become deeply rooted in it. So you got to reconcile who you are with that culture and how you operate within it. That way you have a fair set of expectations for yourself. When you fall short of your duties, your responsibilities, your role, you know, you're going to be sad, of course, but then you're going to have ways to improve that. And that's going to be what makes you happy. So the Most High done created a safe space for us to rule over the whole world because that's our culture. And the do's and don'ts behind that, that's what's going to be what's good for your mental health. That's what's going to make it to where you don't invest your mental power into things that are just going to come back and destroy you. You understand what I'm saying? Whereas in gangbanging, say for example, your mental is invested in how you're going to destroy the next brother. You sad if you can't get at a op. You know, Tupac said, revenge is like the sweetest joy next to getting pussy. His emotions, when you embrace that type of ideology, your emotions are regulated based off of whether you're able to exact that revenge or not, right? It's not the right thing. Why? Because the Most High said, don't bear a grudge against your neighbor. You're not supposed to avenge yourself upon your neighbor. There got to be certain counsels that got to be had, and judgment has to be carried out according to the law. You can't just take it upon yourself. You done stepped on my shoes. Now I'm going to X, Y, Z. Right? Why? Because what that does is it breeds internal warfare in our nation. So there's instant gratification that comes from it, right? In that culture. But what you're weighing is there going to be a cycle that comes from that that's for the good or for the worse in my community, right? So we're supposed to gauge based upon these things. So our people are like lost sheep. And our shepherds, it says their shepherds have caused them to go astray. We're looking at the gangbangers before us, the street niggas before us, and we want to be like them. And then as we enter into it and it becomes more and more watered down because of all the other aspects of the outside culture that makes its way in, like snitching becoming more and more popular because of things like COINTELPRO, and niggas want to be a part of things just for the aesthetics, but they're not really willing to go down for what they do. They don't really want to stand on it. Just like we talk about the heathen, everybody want to be Israel, but they don't want to go through the curses. Everybody want to be a gangbanger, but most people don't want to deal with the consequences that come with gangbanging. So the question has to be, am I picking the right culture or not? Our shepherds, the people that we have followed, they're not really giving us the real deal about the direction that we're going when we choose to go that way. Says they have turned them away on the mountains. You know, Beyonce gonna stand on a stage. She gonna do a dance that you're impressed with. She gonna sing about some crazy shit about not needing a man, but guess what? Her ass is still married, right? She's pointing you a direction she ain't willing to go. You got Jeezy, trap or die, but you get goddamned if you see his son out there trapping. Why? Because you know he knew that wasn't a good culture for him to be in. But they're pointing you that direction though. It says they have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. And so now we're in a place where there ain't no rest. Serving gods of wood and stone, serving a white man for hunger and in thirst, serving him for the want of all things. Verse 7, all that found them have devoured them. So all these people that have found us, they've exploited us. And you see, you know, platforms like the one a lot of that expose was taking place on. Again, that's a nerd, and he's exploiting the culture, getting some gain out of it. He'll tell you he started the channel out of boredom. So now the things that we do, not only are they watered down, but anybody could just take a peek into these organizations and make fun of them at will because of the stupidity that we exhibit inside of them. And it's annoying. All that found them have devoured them. They're not looking to save you. They're not looking to better your situation. They're looking to make fun of you, get money off of you. Even that Adam 2 from what you call that no jumper, they devour you. It's a dude on there named AD. He was barely making $3,000 a month in California off that channel, but that channel wouldn't exist without brothers like AD. You know, they devour us. They pick the meat off our bones. What little we have, they take it from us. And we looking at killing each other instead of clicking up against them. Because we retarded right now. You know, all that found them have devoured them. Their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. That's cold. And who can gainsay against that? That's what's so cold about it is they're going to continue to get away with it. They got the right idea. They're going to continue to get away with it because we are wicked. We won't open our eyes up and see. About one more scripture real quick, and then we might chop it up a little bit. Jeremiah 17 and 3. I'm gonna start at 3. On my mountain in the field, I will give thy substance and all thy treasures to the spoil, and thy high places for sin throughout all thy borders. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage. You're gonna lose yourself. Christians be like, God didn't say that you was gonna lose your identity. That's because they don't know what the fuck they talking about. But here at FOG today, man, y'all done sit and you've been looking at these scriptures with me, and I done shown you that the curse was going to be that we was going to lose who we are. If that's not losing your identity, I don't know what is. God bless the man that think otherwise. Give his mind right. It says, thou shalt discontinue thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. And guess what? The moment that we stop seeking to identify with our enemies and serve our enemies, like the brother in the video that I showed you, the elder brother, the moment that we can identify that what we're doing is stupid and we're really serving his cause, and that we could be making better moves for our people, like coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments, doing this work, bringing in the sheep, bringing in the wheat, we can make some real changes, but we have to help our people up out of this mental illness. And then we could be like the brothers and sisters in Alabama, the Montgomery, Alabama bro, whooping ass across the United States and taking names. You know what I'm saying? Not taking ass and whooping names like like the white man taking ass and whooping names. We're gonna be whooping ass and taking names. And when I say taking names, I mean we're gonna take their identity for once. Ain't gonna be no more United nothing. It's gonna be Kwam Yasha Allah in that day. Cap want the link. I'm gonna drop the link. How y'all feel about the Montgomery ball? That was exciting. That was exciting to see brothers and sisters coming together and beating some ass. The white man wants you to believe that he's invincible and impervious. Yeah. Speaking of the Montgomery brawl, I'm gonna show you something. I want some feedback. Show y'all something. Y'all ready to see what I'm talking about? Y'all ready to see it? Let me show you. I'm gonna share the screen real quick. Speaking of the Montgomery brawl, how y'all feel about those? FAFO, fuck around and find out association. And then we got the Karate Kid version of the logo in the upper right hand side. You can get yours today at Bakar. They was hating, so they actually took the Karate Kid one off the shop. We might be able to work that out on the back end. But you know what I'm saying? Go get your FAFO association gear immediately from Bakar. I'm gonna put the link back in the chat. But who got any questions? Oh, we got the cap. We got the cap in. I'm bringing him. Shalom to the
Hey, Shalom, Mark. I'm on my phone, so bear with me, fam. I'm trying to edit my avatar. Can you edit my avatar from your end?
Let me take a gander. It'll only let me edit your name.
All right, yeah, I'm trying to edit my avatar, but it's
in the meantime, while the Cap editing his avatar, any questions in the chat? Do we have any smoke in the chat? At this time, I would like to talk to the Christians. Was the Montgomery brawl, was it righteous? That's what I want to know from the Christians. I would love to get a little blood on my sword, especially from a Caucasian Christian. I would really love to debate a Caucasian Christian, but if there's any brothers, if there are any so-called African American or Hispanic Native American Christians in the chat, I'd love to hear from you too. Was the Montgomery brawl righteous? Yay or nay? Because you can click the link too. Thou shalt click the link if you want to smoke. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you have not. Greatly appreciate it. You can also cash app us at $ Fire of God Camp 12. We need all the help we could get, of course. Whatever is on your heart will be accepted with joy. And we will appreciate that. And we will give praise to the Most High. And thank you for that donation. $ Fire of God Camp 12. Cap, you get over here?
Can you close out that other one? Take that down. Yeah. There we go.
Well, Hebrews said, I thought the Montgomery brawl was a small keyhole of what it's coming to, what it's going to look like when Christ comes back. You damn right. I like that. A small keyhole, just a little peek. That's right. It's a glimpse into the future. Give brothers a little bit of hope. I know how I was moving when I seen that. I said, I wish I would see a crack again if that's a hard time on today. Dude, what's going on, Cap?
Hey, Shalom, fam. How Bashim Yah Shabaraka.
Yeah, man. You said something happened to you last night.
Yeah, I wanted to and it's crazy because it's that's how the spirit works. That's how Yahweh works. I do deliveries for everybody out there. Bear with me, fam. I'm kind of moving around. I got a few errands Cap gotta run a few errands, so excuse me. All right. But so last night while I was at work, I do some deliveries or some drop off, do some of my drops at businesses. So I'm at a gas station here called Racetrack. I don't know if they have them where you at or not.
Yeah, almost had a fight at a racetrack about 2 months ago.
Oh, kind. Well, see, this kind of on point.
Breaking up, hold on. You breaking up.
Salak, I did just step out the house.
Okay. But you said you was at a racetrack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Con. So I was at the racetrack, and Salakia, forgive me.
You good, brother, man?
Trying to get up in my car. Con. Salakia. Y'all see the FOG headrest too, right? Y'all see that? Right? God. But
you doing the right thing back over here. You doing the right kind of thing. We got back to FOG
all praises. So I pull up to the racetrack, and it's a brother out there. He dressed in all black. You know what I'm saying? And it's even hot as fuck. I work at nights, fam. So I mean, it's hot as hell, right? And the brother, I go and I drop the package off at the door of the business because the lady inside, I normally go in, but the door is locked. I guess they were having some type of problems, fam. So I dropped the package off at the door at the racetrack, and I see the brother again who's dressed in all black. He starts walking towards me, mumbling some stuff, and I couldn't really understand what he did. Right? So I get back to my car and I hear him say, "Man, something like, man, you be MFers, you know what I'm saying? Always doing this stuff." And he looking at the package, and I just say, "Bro, don't touch the papers. Please don't touch these papers, right?" And bro says to me, "Thank you. Set my phone right there. It'll be a little bit better." Can y'all still hear me?
But you said he approached you mumbling some shit, something about some MFers, and you had to tell him don't touch the papers or something.
Right. So I tell him don't touch the papers, and he says to me, right, in so many words, he like, I know who you are, and I'm tired of you MFers, you know what I'm saying, doing this, right? And I said, I say to this brother, I say, man, who you talking about?
Yeah, that's a little.
Right? And then he walked towards me real aggressively. He like, man, you a B, you a MFer, you know what I'm saying? And I hate you and blah blah blah. And I like, yo, I keep my staff in the back of my car. So I grabbed.
You broke up again, like you said you keep your staff in the back of the car. Yeah, you breaking up bad.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you said you keep your staff in the car.
Okay. Yeah, I keep my staff in the car, just in case, because you never know, right?
Yeah.
So dude, he started cussing me out. He like, you a MFer, man, and I'm tired of you. I know you, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bro, I don't want to have to hurt you, so please don't come any closer, right? And bro, like, just talking a whole bunch of rambling, like, don't even really make no sense. So I'm like, bro, you got a demon. I say, bro, you're confused, right? He say, oh, I know what I am. I say, you don't even know who you are. He said, yeah, I know who I am. And, he say some more stuff. And I'm like, brother, you got a demon on you. As soon as I said he had a demon on him, like, he got super aggressive and started like ticking and tweaking, you know what I'm saying, and twitching, right? And I'm like, look, man, I'm gonna pray for you, my brother. I was like, man, in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man, I hope the Lord take this demon off you, right? And then like the demon came out of him for real. He was twitching and ticking and stuff, and he was like, he got mad, demon got mad and started, like cussing me out, right? And I said, I say to him, man, I say, bro, man, I say, don't come any closer. I was like, you don't scare me, and the demon on you don't scare me either. It got no power over me, right? And the demon start kicking again, twitching and shit. And then he turned around, walked away, and went and sat down.
Damn.
Yeah, I was thinking when I got back in the car, man, I should have said, come. I was thinking, I was a little nervous. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest, And I was thinking, man, I should have said, man, come up out of this, brother, But I didn't say that. But I noticed that when I mentioned Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and I told it I wasn't afraid of it, and I told it was a demon, that it got more aggressive.
Lord, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
man.
That's mental illness, though.
That's why you don't move to Jacksonville, Akim.
That's right. Spirits out here.
That's real though, because mental illness do be demons. Yep. Like people don't realize your soul is your psyche.
Yep.
The word psyche comes from the word suke, which means soul.
Soul, right? In
Your
the consciousness,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. What you got planned for today?
Oh man, Not too much, man. Got a couple of calls I gotta make to the Akim, man, and then I'm take it light today. You know, give me some rest. Well, I'm pretty well rested now, so I'm probably just gonna, take it light, chop it up with a few of the Akim, and then holla at my rib when she get to the crib.
God, man. That
Con.
sounds like a good day to me. I might get some rest after this.
All
But
praise, hey man. And I wanted to say, man, that remember, man, if you ever come across, like I know sometimes you may not be able to deal properly with your brother when they having a mental issue. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta have some sympathy, man, because it was prophesied in Deuteronomy that we were gonna be under these curses. So that's why I told the brother, like, look, bro, I don't want to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? See, that's the type of brotherly love and compassion we gotta have for one another. Because I could have easily, like when he walked towards my car, because he got awfully close to me, I could have just, beat him down with my staff. But I knew he had a demon on him. But again, that's the compassion and love we gotta have for each other, recognizing these things, staying in the spirit, staying spiritually minded, not carnal minded, right? Because the carnal mind, that's enmity to the most high power. All right?
yeah, okay.
So those are things, man, that we got to consider. And if we love our brother like we love ourselves, like we supposed to do, right? Then we wouldn't do those things like that. And like even with that situation last night, General, I I I wish I could have said, hey, come out. You know what I'm saying? And do I know if the demon would have came out? I don't know, right? But I know that the Lord said that there's power in His name. Right, that's Acts 4:22. There's no other name under heaven given amongst men. All right, and our Lord said it. Car, what you said, King?
I said, whereby which would be saved.
That's right. See that? Right. And the Lord said that if we believe, we got the faith, man, that we can move mountains. Right.
Amen.
Right. And that it's not like a lot of faith. It's just solid faith. And I thought about that for a while. After I rode off from there, and I'm like, man, I should have told that demon to come out of that brother, and it vexed my spirit, man. But the spirit of Yahweh, right, came over me, and I felt a sense of comfort, like my first real experience, like knowing that that's a demon, and like feeling like, oh, this is a demon right here for real, not like just a brother got some issues, right? Nah, he had a demon on him, and that was heavy, a powerful one, so to speak. And I just wish that I would have said that, but then the Lord reminded me, next time you come across it, you'll be ready.
Hey, he might be going already too. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
He just turned around and sat down. He probably was like, what am I even doing over here?
Yeah. Then the crazy part, I saw him when I was finishing up around 7:30. I saw him walking up the street adjacent to the racetrack, right? And I don't know if he was in his right mind. I'm not gonna speculate or not. You know what I'm saying? But you never know. He damn sure could have, right?
Yeah, man. But you right about we need to be more merciful, because we are in our right mind so that we could be the physicians, not so we could be the opposition through and through. And that's kind of how we started out today, through the Spirit. All praises to the Most High. But somebody said, I love the brother's spirit. That's why he's such a good fit at FOG. And that's why he's the captain at FOG, because he exudes what we're trying to instill in our brothers and sisters, is that it ain't always about just cutting brothers with a scripture. Sometimes it's about giving a damn. And a lot of times we don't give a damn. We just want to get the blood off our hands. But, Paul does a good job of speaking on how if we don't do the things that we do out of charity, then, the Most High is going to read that a certain way. Because remember, he's looking at the hearts and the reins. So if your motivation is fucked up and you're doing something that looks good, but your motivation mind is fucked up, please understand the Most High going to see about you. So
that's right.
Point out.
Hey, Con, hey, and shout out to everybody who donated too. All right.
We appreciate y'all, man.
We really appreciate you. I'm gonna try to give a couple of shout outs real quick by name. Just give me 1 second. Bear with me.
Hey, real quick, I just do it in private. You know what I'm saying?
I'll pray.
The reason why is because Yahweh Shai said, do those things in private. So we don't want to blow a horn when brothers do it, but please understand we do appreciate y'all, man. And the email is open, and you don't have to send a donation in order for us to answer your emails. You got questions, you got concerns, you need counsel, you want to join a body, and just whatever, hit that email at firegodclassroom@gmail.com.
Yeah, Hey, but I want to say water to everybody who has donated before and will donate in the future out the kindness of your heart. We not saying that we need it, we want it. It's something you got to do to listen. We'll answer your questions. We still love y'all. We don't need nothing from you. We all work around here, all right. But it is greatly appreciated. So again, water.
When you go into it. But do we have any questions in the chat? Any questions? Do we have any Christians? Because again, I do want to talk about this. I do want to talk about this Montgomery brawl. I want to know, was it righteous? Were those brothers and sisters in the right? I'm talking about, man, I'm making my way through Dallas at work, and I asked this Hispanic dude, did you see what happened in that brawl? He said, yeah. It's like, hell yeah. I asked this one brother when I was on the way to one of my houses. I asked him if he seen it. He said, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. It was like a celebration going on in the streets, in the back of every brother's mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he brought to the spirit. He said, turn the other cheek for our fellow brother, not Esau at the harbor. You damn right.
Yeah, that's right.
They harbor hatred for us, so we got to be ready to defend ourselves against that hatred.
Bring that out. Hey, because in Matthew chapter 5, as the Christian church likes to call it, the Beatitudes, be like Christ, and ain't none of them like Christ. No, none of them act like Christ. Who was his audience? His audience was his people.
His audience was a bunch of zealots.
That's
people
right.
that was ready to die for the nation.
Mm-hmm. Bunch of zealots.
Bring that out. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. I'm asking for some smoke, and if you got complex questions that you want answered, we here for another couple of minutes. So please feel free to take your chance.
Look, if anybody got any recommendations for a good wooden comb, man, drop that joint in the chat, man. I need me a wooden comb, man.
Somebody said you got a righteous beard. I said, hell yeah, man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I need a wooden comb. Actually, the brother Shakur out in St. Louis, he shared something with me. His son shared something with me. I gotta look into that. But I'm gonna need a couple. So if anybody know anybody who make them, or a black-owned business that sell them or something like that, we gotta support our Israelite businesses. All right.
Bring that out.
Let your boy Cap know, because I'm definitely down to support. I was just telling Ariel, brother Osh, that I gotta go on to the car and choose me a couple of new shirts, man. Got on the FOG gang shirt today, though.
Oh yeah, FOG gang. Yeah. The Judah gang.
Oh, Salaki, I got the Judah gang shirt on, Salaki. That's right. I'm about to get the FOG gang shirt, though.
That shirt glowing. It's like a glow coming off of it. That's cold.
Say what?
I said the shirt, we got like a glow coming off of it. The light was a certain way.
Oh,
hey, you gotta add it because you got a couple of live streams coming up. You gotta plug those, man. He got a set of live streams coming up very soon on the main channel. Let me drop that link in the chat because it's important that you join. You say you like the brother's spirit. Well, the brother's he's gonna be gassing on a couple of topics. So you definitely want to be there for that.
The one I'm most excited about, it's probably a toss-up. I mean, I'm excited to get on that pork chop pastor from St. Louis. I'm excited about that, but he's my brother too, so I love him. But what I'm really excited to get on, man, is to dissect the rabbi, right? But I'm most excited to show y'all, man, how Esau is always going to be rejected. Always going to be rejected. He can't find a place of repentance, you know? All right? We're going to take it from the Old Testament to the New Testament to the Apocrypha, too. I got a precept I've been waiting to bring out to show how Esau was rejected, man, that I ain't seen nobody bring out. All right? So y'all stay tuned for that. All right?
I'm ready for that myself.
Uh-huh. That's what we're going to talk about, man. Talk about the chief enemy, right? The nation that was named first, right, when Yahweh in the book of Psalms listed his enemies, right? That's Psalms 82, all right? So it's the chief enemy, right, of Yahweh, man, and our number one adversary, man, and the number one devil, right? Devil just means deceiver.
Well, we know that's true. We know everything about deception. In the whole world, we often know it. But hey, you got anything else you want to add?
I'm gonna step away for just one moment because my connection get really bad. But I'll be right back. How much longer are you gonna be live?
I'm about to end now unless you got something you want to add. So I'll wait till you come back so you can bring out what you got to bring out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just stay to the end. I was saying it was getting real staticky on my phone because I ain't connected to the internet right now.
If y'all ain't got no questions,
all I want to say, man,
yeah.
Oh, Salaki, all I wanted to say real quick is, man, y'all stay tuned, man. Stay plugged in, tapped in. Like, share, and subscribe. Go over to the main channel, FOG. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and be ready for the live streams and the videos that are going to be posted shortly. All right, and also go over to FOG Jacksonville page. All right, and make sure you subscribe to that page too. We're going to be putting more content up there also in the near future. All right. Stay tapped in for those lessons, man. They'll be starting to come forth in the next week. And the Wisdom Wednesday class with the Elder Marshall, he will be coming back too. All right, I wanted to plug that and let y'all know that the elder ain't going nowhere, and he'll be coming back to bring forth those great lessons, man. That good milk that we always need, man, because milk does a body good, as they say. All right.
That's what we got next. That's damn right, Caleb. A lot on the way, man. Just for you brothers and you sisters watching. We appreciate y'all.
That's right. Hey, absolutely. Hey, well, with that, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and let you close it out, man. I know we gonna chop it up again a little bit later, man. But again, if you're in here, man, you like this video, you share this video because the nation needs this. All right, we needed this. All right, and you make sure you subscribe to the channel. And with that, I'm gonna say, call Allah, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatah,
family. And with that, family, like the brother said, thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for watching. You're always very supportive. Remember, hit the email firegodclassroom@gmail.com for any questions. You want to look to join the body. We can use all the help we can get out here. So please feel free. Please feel free. Trying to be more professional and drop the outro, but I can't find it. So with that, yeah, Shalom, family.